Okay, we are back again for another mini episode. This one's going to cover for loops. You've seen what a while loop does. A while loop just runs over and over and over again until something tells it to stop. Usually you'll use a while loop for, say, running a menu over and over again until the program exits. While loops are used in all kinds of places like that in programming. But you'll also find, let's say, remember last episode how we had the arrays? Like we had this array of all this random stuff, just whatever. Like so, we'll make my array equals 5, 3, 2, 100, 99, 37, whatever. We've just got an array of numbers here. So let's say we wanted to run the same code several times, but not necessarily an infinite amount of times, or indefinite. For that, we're going to use a for loop. And for loop is very similar to the while loop. We have the for, and the parentheses, and the code block. In this case, there are two ways to write the for loop. This first one is the old style method that you'll probably be using more for manual. Oh, you'll see in a moment. So, what goes in here are three statements. The first is creating a local variable inside the for loop that will be used to keep track of how many times it's run. In this case, we're going to call it I. I is just traditional for loops. You may see other ways of doing it, like X. And then the second statement is the condition it will run until. So we'll say it's going to run as long as I is less than 20. And then each time it runs, it will do an increment. In this case, I++, which is a shorthand for I equals I plus, aka add 1 to I. We use the plus shorthand in most languages because it's just more convenient that way. Remember, programmers are lazy. We hate typing more than we have to type. So I++ is just nice. You could also write that I plus equals 1, but why would you do that? So every time we do this, we're going to console.log I times I. It's going to run some math for us. And then it will be over with. Let's see how it works. Close out of here. And node to drive right. And we run. Notice what happens. First one, it's 0, then it's 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36. So, you see what's happening here, guys? Each time this runs, it starts at 0. So 0 times 0 is 0. Next, it goes back to here, so it loops. I++, now I is 1. 1 times 1 equals 1. Same thing, loops back around, I++, I is now 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. So we keep doing the, I think, what's this called? I forget when this is called. The times caret 2, exponent 2, I don't know, whatever. I'm a little bit rusty on my math, guys, sorry. I know this is a simple question. But as you can see, it keeps running up until it gets to 361. That's because I is now 20, which is not less than 20, so it stops and it moves on to here. I is no longer less than 20 at this point. Boom. It ran this code over and over again. So the question is, how is this kind of useful? Why would I be doing this just arbitrarily until I is not less than 20? Well, the answer is you probably wouldn't. But what if I were to use the length of this array? If I use myArray.length, now what happens? It only ran 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, do we have a connection here? So now if I console.log myArray I, it printed out every single item in the array. 5, 3, 2, 100, 99, 36. So that's method 1 of writing a for loop. And you'll do this whenever you want to do something to the elements in an array. So the other way of writing a for loop is a much, much more syntactically nice, I guess you could say. This works, it's clear, but it's just ugly in a way. A lot of modern programming is written a lot more nicely than that. So let me show you an alternate way of doing it. We'll start with for, just like before. We got the curly brackets, and why is it complaining? Whatever. Okay, so now we're gonna loop over this array, but we're gonna make it very explicit. So before we had the I equals whatever. This time we're gonna say let element of my array. You're probably wondering, what does that mean? Well, let element of my array. My array refers to the array we're looping over. In this case, it's this constant right here. So we're going to loop over my array. And then element is the same thing as I was before. We're going to let element equal this thing of my array. So, console.log element. If I run that, the code is smart enough to figure out on its own how many elements are in the myArray, and it just runs them. And each time it runs, it assigns element to the current element. So 5, then 3, then 2, then 100, 99, 36. Doesn't matter how many things you put in that array, it'll run once for each time. So if I add in some more, like 20, 10, 15, it runs it again. 20, 10, 15, there they are. As you can see, I only typed 4 lines of code to print out this crazy amount of stuff. That is for loops in a nutshell. Only thing you gotta notice is if you declare any variables inside the for loop, those are local to the for loop. I'm not sure if that works exactly the same way in JavaScript as it does everything else, but keep an eye out for that, because we'll see what happens.